Hey guys, it's Xiao. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. Today is a really exciting review video and it is on the ELF Camo CC Cream, and I also will be reviewing and trying out for the first time the ELF Hydrating Camo Concealer in Satin Finish. I know this isn't new, but a lot of people have been raving about it, so I thought I would try it along with the CC Cream. So this CC Cream, I picked up two shades. I picked up light 240W and medium 330W. And in the Camo Concealer, I picked up light sand and light beige. So a little bit more about the ELF CC Creams. They carry 20 shades and it retails for $14. There is 1.0 fluid ounce in this packaging. It is a really nice like plastic tube packaging, and it comes with a nice pump and a cap. This Camo CC Cream also has SPF 30 and it is vegan and cruelty free. So just looking at the ELF details of this CC Cream, I just want to give off some of these claims, some of the words that's kind of popping out at me. It's supposed to be a medium to full coverage foundation with a natural finish. It has hyaluronic acid, which helps to provide hydration by locking in moisture, so it's supposed to be hydrating. So to start off this video, I'm going to go ahead and swatch these two on my cheeks first. I'm going to go ahead and swatch light 240W first on my cheek, and then medium 330W right next to it. These two shades I think look really nice. This lighter one is light 240W and the dark one is medium 330W. I think they are the perfect light warm shade and perfect medium warm shade. You can see they are quite different from light to medium, but I think there are some shades in between these two here that has different undertones. I'm gonna let this dry down about 5 minutes and then we'll swatch new swatches right next to it to see if the CC Cream darkens over time. I would say that these two that have dried down a little bit is just the teeniest bit darker. I feel like this lighter shade, the undertone, became just a little bit more neutral, and this freshly swatched here is a little bit more warm, but I wouldn't say it darkens too much, so I would say this CC Cream passes the oxidation test. Next up, I wanted to swatch the concealers on my cheeks as well. Again, I'm going to start off with the lighter shade, which is light sand, and then right next to it's going to be light beige. Light sand is definitely more neutral. It does have just like the slightest pink undertone in my opinion, and light beige here is definitely more of a warm tone, but it is not light enough to use under my eyes. So for under my eyes, I will be going in with light nude and then maybe light beige, maybe on the outer corners. I'm now gonna let these sit and dry on my face for about 5 minutes, and then again we'll do fresh swatches right next to it. Now looking at these fresh swatches, I would say that this concealer does definitely darken down. You can see this fresh swatch looks a lot lighter than this one here that has been drying down for about 5 minutes, and then this is the fresh swatch here that does look a little bit lighter than this one here that has dried. Next up is the application of the CC Cream. I've already gone in with my primers per usual. Since I do have dry and dehydrated skin, I always make sure I prime my face really well before going in with any face product. And then per usual with my review videos, I use a sponge on my left side and a brush on my right side. My normal preference is usually the sponge. Again, with dry skin, I use the sponge from Causemetics. This is my favorite sponge. And then I will also be using a brush from Causemetics. This is their F3 High Def brush. So showing you the product coming out of the packaging, it's a really nice pump and you can really control this pump as well. So I'm taking the lighter shade. I'm gonna do one full pump, and then we'll kind of see if I need to add more or any more of that darker shade. So when applying this CC Cream, it feels really smooth. I think the thickness of it is really nice. It's not too runny, but it's not too thick. It feels really creamy and it goes on really well. It does blend out really easy though, you just have to kind of work fast with it. So this is with one layer using the sponge. It's a really nice and natural finish. It's a little bit more matte than I prefer in my face products. Again, just because I have really dry skin. It does look just the slightest cakey around my nose and around my smile lines. It is starting to settle just a little bit on my smile lines. And my forehead does look a little bit dry just because my forehead does tend to look pretty dry, but this foundation does kind of accentuate my dry patches on my forehead. So this is what is left on my hand. I used that full pump and I still have just a little bit of residue left. I'm gonna go ahead and apply another layer just to see if it builds and to see how it sits on my skin. I'm just gonna do about half a pump this time for the second layer. Now I have 2 layers on, and looking up close, it is definitely starting to build up a little bit on my nose. I can see it's kind of cakey around my nose here. I know the shade does look a little bit light, a little bit yellow compared to my body. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this side with the brush and see what that looks like. So as you can see, I am working in sections. I will blend out my cheeks first and then apply some on my forehead. So I wouldn't recommend applying this foundation throughout your face and then slowly blending it. Again, since I feel like the CC cream does dry down pretty fast. So this is one layer using the brush. It actually doesn't look bad. I thought it was gonna look really dry with the brush. I think it looks really flawless with the brush. I think I could go either way with the sponge or the brush. I still have some CC cream on the back of my hand. I'm just gonna pump a little bit more and we'll go in with a second layer. Comparing the sponge to the brush side, I think the brush side, it applied a little bit better, a little bit easier. For the finish, I'd say with the sponge side, it does look just a tad bit more dewy. And then with the brush side, it looks a little bit more airbrush. Now I'm gonna go ahead and apply the rest of my face and I will be right back. So I was in the middle of doing my under eye concealer and I totally forgot that I wanted to test out these 2 concealers. So on this side here, I do have my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This is in the shade light to medium. I always use this under my eyes because I feel like it really helps brighten out my eyes. So I'm gonna apply this to my left eye. I just focus more on the inner corners. Next, I'm gonna go in with the shade Light Sand in the ELF Hydrating Camo Concealer Satin Finish. And I always like to blend my under eye concealer with my fingers first to kind of warm up the product. It does feel really nice and creamy. It doesn't feel drying. It feels really hydrating. So I think the concealer looks really pretty. I love the finish of it. It is really radiant and I love that for under eyes because my under eyes are even more dry than the rest of my face. So I can't ever go in with anything too dry. I have the Tarte Shape Tape. That is way too dry. I do see that it is starting to crease though. I think every one of my concealers creases under my eyes. So I'm just gonna blend it out just a little bit more. Now with the darker shade that I have of the concealer, which is light beige, I'm gonna try to put it under my contour. And since I'm not gonna really be spot concealing, I don't really have any spots that I feel like really need to be concealed. So I'm just gonna use this to kind of clean up my contour a little bit. I'm gonna try not to use too much of this. And then with this, I will blend it out with my sponge. I'll just blend it downwards. So that looks really nice. I think that worked really well on my skin. I really like this concealer so far. I have the rest of my makeup on my face, and to give you guys my final review, I created this chart that I would be using in my future review videos. I feel like this chart will help you guys and also help me stay on track so that I don't blabber on and get off topic. So looking at this chart at the top just lists the product that I'm reviewing, and then right below that just has information about the price, the number of shades, and the amount of product in this packaging. And then on the right side is just if it has SPF, if it's cruelty free, if it's vegan, and then of course just a picture of the product below that. And then you'll see this huge chart on the left side lists a bunch of items that I want to touch upon when give you guys my final review. And then on the right of that chart is just a rating scale. And then at the very bottom is my overall review of the product from a scale of dislike to holy grail. So starting off with the top of this chart, does it cling onto my dry patches? I would say it does slightly. On average, my skin with any foundation will cling onto dry patches if I have it. I wouldn't say it's very cakey, but I would say it's kind of average because I feel like when this CC cream dried down, it did dry down to more of a semi-matte. So with dry skin. I feel like with anything kind of matte on my skin, it will make it look a little bit cakey. I did not have to set my face with powder. Usually I would on my forehead and sometimes around my nose, just because I don't like a shiny forehead. But again, like I said, since the CC cream did dry down to more of a semi-matte, I didn't feel like I had to set my face at all. Is the CC cream hydrating? And for me, having dry skin, it is really important that I use hydrating products, and this ELF CC cream, I would say on this scale, it is not hydrating. I just feel like it didn't provide that hydration that I usually get from my very dewy, very radiant foundations. I would say it just slightly settles. Again, it did settle on my smile lines and around my nose. It is average buildable. I think that the very first layer already provides a good amount of coverage, and with the second layer, it does help build a little bit more coverage. So I think it definitely is average build. This CC cream does slightly oxidize. It just darkens just a little bit. I would say that this CC cream definitely gave me more of an airbrush look, since it is more of a semi-matte finish on my skin. I feel like any matte finish can kind of tend to look more airbrush compared to very dewy, very radiant foundations. Coverage of the CC cream, I would say it's a medium high. It's a really nice coverage. Again, I did 2 layers, and yeah, it covered up really well. You can barely see any of my freckles or anything like that. Finish on my dry skin, when it went on, it looked more natural, but it did kind of dry down to a semi-matte. The weight of it, I would say it's medium. I wouldn't say it's too heavy. Like, I don't really feel like my skin is clogged or anything like that, so I would definitely say it's more of a medium. It doesn't feel lightweight in any way. It's a very nice average consistency. It's not too thick, not too runny. And then my overall rating of the ELF CC cream, I would say I don't dislike it, but I don't love it. I'd say I'm more indifferent about it, and that is because mainly I feel like this CC cream is not hydrating enough for my dry skin. When I move my skin or when I talk, I can kind of feel my cheeks tightening. Kind of like, if you have dry skin, you will know what I'm talking about. Like, right after you wash your face and you don't apply your moisturizers, your skin feels kind of tight when you move it. That's kind of how I feel with this CC cream, just slightly, but it's enough to kind of make me feel like uncomfortable, because I'm really used to very hydrating foundations that give me a lot of moisture. Some other things to note about this CC cream that I kind of dislike is just that with the 2 layers, it does look kind of heavy on my cheeks. Like, if you look at my skin, you can definitely tell that I have foundation on. But things that I do like about this CC cream is the coverage. It has really nice coverage. I do kind of like the semi-matte finish too, because again, I usually wear very radiant foundations, so this semi-matte is really nice change. And before I end this video, I do want to give you guys my thoughts on the ELF Hydrating Camo Concealer. I really love these. I'm really excited to continue using them. They do feel very hydrating. They are a really nice satin finish. They don't make my under eyes feel dry at all. And right now, even after like 15 minutes of after applying it, it still looks really beautiful. It does not look super dry at all, and it also has really nice coverage. So I would really recommend the ELF Camo Concealers, the Radiant Finish, if you guys have dry skin. Alright, so those are my final thoughts on the ELF CC Cream and their Camo Concealer. If you guys have any other requests, let me know down in the comments below. But I hope you guys found this video helpful, especially any of my dry skin folks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!